While some wrestling matches seem to drag on for an eternity, others are over in a matter of seconds. Here are the 10 shortest matches in WWE history. Daniel Bryan vs. Sheamus, 18 seconds. Although then WWE Champion Daniel Bryan constantly mistreated his storyline girlfriend AJ Lee, she continued to stand by him and even gave him a kiss prior to his match against Sheamus at WrestleMania 28. However, this proved to be a kiss of death, as the distraction allowed Sheamus to land a surprise brogue kick and pin Bryan in only 18 seconds, ending his title reign at 105 days and fracturing his relationship with Lee. Brian Kendrick vs. Kofi Kingston, 11 seconds. While cutting a promo on Jerry Lawler just prior to a match against Kofi Kingston in 2009, the Brian Kendrick was so distracted that he ignored the referee's repeated attempts to get his attention and missed the bell altogether. Kendrick had just finished saying that no one is allowed to embarrass him when Kingston knocked him out cold with a Trouble in Paradise for the pin after an embarrassingly short 11 seconds. Even worse, it would turn out to be Kendrick's last match with the WWE for 6 years, as he was released from his contract shortly after. Chavo Guerrero vs. Kane, 11 seconds. Prior to his WrestleMania 24 match against Chavo Guerrero for the ECW Championship, Kane emerged from beneath the ring and surprised his opponent just as the bell rang. Guerrero barely had enough time to figure out what was going on before he fell victim to a monstrous chokeslam and was immediately covered by Kane's 7-foot frame for an 11-second victory, then a WrestleMania record. Sheamus vs. Zack Ryder, 10 seconds. Back in 2010, Zack Ryder was given a shot at the WWE Championship in a Raw match against Sheamus. The announcers had just finished discussing how huge of an upset it would be if Ryder somehow pulled it off, and that all he needed to make it happen was just a few seconds. Although they were right about the small amount of time required to win, it was Sheamus who would execute the squash with a brogue kick to the head and a cover in just 10 seconds. Bob Backlund vs. Diesel, 8 seconds. 3 days after winning the title from Bret Hart at Survivor Series 1994, Bob Backlund faced Diesel at Madison Square Garden for the belt. When the match began, Diesel kicked Backlund just once before going right into his jackknife powerbomb finisher for the win. In total, it took only 8 seconds for Diesel to become the new WWE World Heavyweight Champion. Curt Hawkins vs. Dolph Ziggler, 7 seconds. When Curt Hawkins returned to the WWE in 2016, he was sort of like a male version of Eva Marie, in that he always found an excuse to somehow avoid his matches before they started. When he finally participated in a match, it was during Dolph Ziggler's first open challenge for the Intercontinental Championship on November 1st. Although Hawkins talked a lot of smack before the bell, as soon as it rang though, Ziggler executed a super kick that immediately dropped Hawkins and allowed him to be pinned in just 7 embarrassing seconds. Damien Sandow vs. The Great Khali, 6 seconds. In the midst of Damien Sandow's impersonation gimmick, he dressed as Vince McMahon for one particular Raw episode in June 2014, much to the chagrin of Stephanie McMahon. In response, the WWE heiress sent the Great Khali after him. Although Sandow's impersonation was solid, he probably should have spent more time practicing how to avoid attacks, as the Punjabi Playboy immediately clobbered him and pinned him in only 6 seconds. Eric Rowan vs. The Rock, 6 seconds. Thus far, Eric Rowan's WWE career has been brief, but not nearly as brief as his match with The Rock at WrestleMania 32. Once the bell rang, The Rock went straight for his finisher, the Rock Bottom, and pinned Rowan in 6 seconds, a new WrestleMania record. That's barely enough time to smell what The Rock was cooking. The rest of the Wyatt family then surrounded the victorious wrestler, but John Cena suddenly appeared and helped The Rock fend off his foes. Big Boss Man vs. The Rock, 3 seconds. The final first-round match at Survivor Series 1998 was supposed to be between The Rock and Triple H, but Hunter was a no-show and Pat Patterson and Gerald Briscoe announced that Big Boss Man would take his place. The new opponent jogged down to the ring, but if he knew what would happen next, he probably would have taken his time. As soon as Big Boss Man rolled into the ring, The Rock rolled him right back up again for the fastest pin in WWE history, 3 seconds. Chris Jericho and Jerry Lawler vs. Taz and Mideon, 3 seconds. In the midst of a 2000 feud between Jerry Lawler and Taz, a tag team match was set up that teamed Lawler and Chris Jericho against Taz and a mystery opponent. When that mystery opponent turned out to be Naked Mideon, Taz became distracted by anger and disbelief while his joke of a partner entered the arena. That allowed Jerry Lawler to quickly take down and pin Taz just as the bell was ringing. Word to the wise, never turn your back on the king. Did this short list miss any short matches? Let us know in the comments below and be sure to like and share this video on social media. Want more wrestling action? Then follow The Sportster on YouTube. See ya!